Hey y'all, it's Bear, and today I'm here to tell you my 5 favorite horror tropes. I did a video like this exactly a week ago where I listed my 5 least favorite horror tropes, and I figured we're out with the negative, we're in with the positive, let's talk about some stuff that I actually do enjoy. So the first one I have on my paper over here in the corner that you can't see is like babies or children being part of the plot. I think there's something so terrifying about like a defenseless little baby or like an innocent little kid who can't do anything to protect themselves. Attacking a child or a baby shows like true evil, right? It's kind of like whenever like the slasher kills the dog in the horror movie, like that puppy didn't do anything to you, what are you doing hurting it? So I think that whenever babies or children are either a victim and it shows the real evil of the villain, or whenever they are the villains themselves, because like children, babies, they're supposed to be innocent, they're supposed to be sweet, so having that flip on its head and having them be the bad guys, them being the thing that's keeping you up at night, just, it chills me. I don't like it. Like, I like it, but I don't like it. Number 2, this is something I found out about myself this year, and that's that I really like gothic literature. I understand that this isn't just what gothic literature is, but this is like the general vibe of the gothic literature I've been reading. I like the vibe of like a spooky family house and like secrets and like creaky rooms and staircases and like holding your candelabra. Like it works for me. There's something that's so atmospheric about it, and I'm a reader who's very much in it for the vibes instead of the plot. They usually have some kind of garden or something in them, and that also really works for me. Thinking of a couple of examples, we have Mexican Gothic, we have Horrid, we have The Turn of the Key. All of those are like spooky Gothic house books with some kind of like fucked up garden that ties into the plot. For me, it's like that's the combination. Like, that's the recipe for like my perfect Gothic novel. Number 3, this is going to come as a surprise to exactly no one, and that's ocean horror. I love the deep sea, ocean, spooky monster vibes. It can be science fiction, it could be fantasy, it could be whatever, as long as you are giving me like that good ocean monster. Like Jaws, but turned up to like an 11. I think that's because I have bathyphobia, which means I am terrified of like the vast depthness of things. So like the idea of the ocean, like the deep ocean, is something that literally freaks me the fuck out. Like I have panic attacks sometimes thinking about like just how deep the ocean is. And it's not logical. Like I don't have to go into the deep ocean. Like there's no reason in the world that I have to do that. But just the thought of it, something so deep, and knowing that there are like thousands of things swimming underneath you that could kill you in a heartbeat, freaks me out so bad. And with ocean horror novels, they take that fear and they turn it into a fictional reality. No one can hear you scream because there's no one for miles, and even if there were, they probably couldn't hear you or see you over the waves. Like, Next we have cults, and that's something that I'm like starting to kind of dive into a little bit. I think it reminds me of growing up in Alabama. I've talked before about how it feels like growing up in the South is kind of synonymous with growing up in a cult. I understand that they're very different things. Like thinking about like small town living where you see the same people day in and day out, you do the same things day in and day out. You have to unlearn a lot of things when you like break away from it. You realize that you're getting very limited information on how the world works and how the world, you know, came to be. I think that's why I like cult books so much, because it's like someone, usually like the person who feels like an outsider, like hello me, trying to break out of this hive mind ideology in the society that they've grown up in all of their lives, where you don't get outside feedback, you don't know things, you don't learn things, you only know what is put in front of you, and you are told that everything else is lies, and you can only trust the people that you have known your entire life. Like, I think that's why cult books work so well for me. And then finally, at number 5, we have horror movies as a plot point. I read a lot of horror, I watch a lot of horror, and the thing that always baffles me is the fact that it seems like these characters have never seen a horror movie in their entire fucking life. If you watch any slasher film, you know better than to run up the stairs whenever they're chasing you. You go through the front door. By watching horror films, you kind of absorb this knowledge of how these situations work. And I understand it's different because, like, in films, what are considered films? Does that make sense? Like, where do you cross the universes and where do they divide? But I feel like in books, it's a little different. So I like whenever protagonists are like, oh, this is like Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, this is like Jaws. And then they take their knowledge of the genre that they are currently living in and apply it to the situation. I understand that they are not supposed to be aware that they are in a horror novel, but the idea that these people have never seen a horror movie, have never read a horror novel, have never been exposed to like any of the rules of any of the subgenres of horror is just baffling to me. So I always really appreciate whenever we get a protagonist or like someone in a friend group who is like very into horror or like very into the paranormal or whatever and takes that knowledge that they have from consuming this media and applies it to the situation. It's very refreshing for me. I think it's a good way to break out of like tropes and stereotypes and stuff that the horror genre often falls into. And it's a good way to like subvert expectations, because picking up a book, you don't expect the characters to know what to do. You want to see them struggle a little bit. So it's refreshing and surprising as a reader whenever a character does have that knowledge that they can apply. Alright, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you can hit thumbs up and subscribe and share and hit the bell and all that stuff downstairs, as well as answering the comment question of the day. Comment question of the day, I want to know what your favorite horror trope is, and part B of that question, recommend me books that fit one or more of my favorite tropes. If you got any recommendations, feel free to drop them in the comments. If you don't have time, you don't have the spoons, you don't have an answer, or you don't want to answer, let me know you made it all the way until the end of the video by leaving me an emoji, preferably a yellow heart or a smiley face emoticon. All my social media links and everything I mentioned today will be in the description downstairs, so make sure you go check that out. There are also places you can support me further around the internet if you so choose. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful whatever it is, wherever you are, and I will see you tomorrow for some more spooky videos. Okay, thank you for watching.